Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
But me, I will win. Never. If President JDM will continue the good job that he's doing, will remain. He said we'll retain him forever. And Isaac from Wager always says, you are indeed doing a good job for Ghana. The MPP rep is confused and making statements cooked from his room. He mentioned the NDC has subdued the judiciary. How? Ghana is working. The MPP should give us a break and keep quiet. The research agenda is working. Meanwhile, the CJ should work fast to solve these problems. The SP is too known and abusing office. Again, playing some mind game with the ruling government. I've been watching Aladdin and I think, okay. Isaac from Way just saying that. Isaac, thank you very much for those comments you're saying. Ajwa.
Sana, the amount of strength one Ghanaian needs to listen to an NPP communicator is enormous. And as my brother Protocol was speaking, I was watching my other brother Solo and how he was looking at him. It was as if, I mean, if we were born yesterday, we would believe a lot of the things. But it is shocking. It is shocking how all of us here were still born and alive during the rule of the NPP. And we are still, you know, the NPP communicators are able to look into our face and tell us certain things. It is quite shocking. And this morning, his attempt to, I don't know what it is, start a smear campaign on the Attorney General, Dr. Ayeni Akoritenga. I mean, I was happy that you fact-checked everything. Honorable Akoritenga, the Attorney General, came out on this issue of Kwame A+ to deny categorically his involvement in any corruption allegation and even dared him to bring evidence. That is a brave man. If you are found or if you are accused, I remember that the former president even threatened to sue Al Jazeera for accusing him in the gold scandal. And we never heard from the former president again on the matter. So if you truly are not complicit in a matter on which you have been, there have been an allegation against you, you would come out and state so emphatically and even dare. So that is a brave man out there. So I think this morning it is unfair. And this morning all we've heard is suspicions, gossips, conjectures, and even, you know, lessons from body language experts talking about reading the body language of the Attorney General. I mean, this is not supposed to, this is not fit for TV, a national television. And when we come on shows like this, we have to make sure that what we are churning out there are facts, because at the end of the day, you are dealing with the integrity and the name of a person who has really put so much into his life. That is Dr. Ayeni. And it is unfair to him for anybody to make such conjectures about the man, especially if you do not have facts and if you are listening to gossips about the man. That said, I'll quickly move to the issue of the removal of the EC and then later address the OSP's petition. And I always say, all of us, most of us, we have our personal discomforts when it comes to the work of the EC. That is, we can talk about how the EC even came into office. That is one leg of the issue. That is okay. He's in office. Secondly, about her competencies. We have been in this country. The EC, Madam Jane Mensa, has organized, I think, has overseen 2 elections. She's not the first EC to be appointed into that office. We've had Mr. Ferijan before Madam SHHŁCK. We've all seen how elections were organized in this country. Now, Madam SHHŁCK, somebody mentioned in the comment section, the fact that she was able to organize an election that, you know, deprived the people of South representation in Parliament alone is the highest form of incompetence if you're an electoral commissioner. How do you end up? And then she did so just by a stroke of a pen. it wasn't something that, you know, and there's this IPAC meetings and things they attend. By the time we realized this woman was able, by just a stroke of a pen and a letter, deny people the right to vote, which is a serious matter. But whenever we talk about it, like that the people of SAL did not get representation in parliament, people don't see the gravity of what she did with the people of SAL. That was really, really wrong. Secondly, she attempted to make Ghana card the only documents that people needed to vote with. Yeah, and this woman is a lawyer and knows what the law says about who is qualified to vote. You must be 18 years and above and compos mentis. It does not talk about what card you need to vote. But she was pushing, even though she knew at the time, she was pushing that by pushing this CI through parliament, she was going to deprive a whole lot of people from voting. She went and connived with the NIA boss at the time to push this agenda to deprive Ghanaian citizens who are qualified to vote. And what some of these things does is that it is going to bring confusion. Around election time, the atmosphere is volatile. Every little thing can cause, you know, our democracy. And I always say, when we talk about the democracy and the peace we have enjoyed in this country, the Electoral Commission is an institution that cannot be taken out. It literally birthed our Fourth Republic and has held it and carried it to this point. Now we came to this place where Madam Jane Mensa is Electoral Commissioner, organized elections, and 8 citizens were shot and killed. We expected some sort of sensitivity or sympathy from the sitting government. We had prominent people in the sitting government telling us that when they were asked whether they have commensurate with the families of those who were killed, they asked us that if armed robbers die, do we call their family members to commensurate with them? Such an insensitive comment from a member of the NPP. My brother Najib has talked about the various numbers of election results that came out. And for me as a woman, I even feel the collective shame, because we have always advocated for women to be given the opportunity to sit in, you know, decision-making tables and also sit in big offices. Now, to have a woman in this office who is a lawyer and is not able to add figures, to be able to give us one figure, you bring an election result and then within 24 hours change it. What you are trying to do at the end of the day is to bring confusion into the country. And I do not think if any Ghanaian thinks that this is problematic, we should blame the Ghanaian. We have talked about several times when the NDC was in opposition, the fact that we were not comfortable with some of the deputies because they were pro-NPP. That is not to say that everybody in the Electoral Commission is neutral and does not have a political party. We know that there are a lot of people in the Electoral Commissioner's office that have belonged to a political party, or they like certain political party. What we're saying that when it is so glaring and you have shown your colors to a point of being a patron of TESCON, then it becomes problematic. Sometimes it is not necessarily the conflict, it is the perception of the conflict of interest that even matters the most. And so we brought all these issues, even took it to the Council of State. They told the NDC that they were not, you know, responsible for the appointment of EC chair and his deputies, and we had to redirect it to the president. So today we have an EC that Ghanaians cannot, you know, trust. And there was even Afrobarometer that says that people, about 70% of the population, do not have trust in the Electoral Commissioner. So besides, and you see, sometimes when we're having this conversation, it is not necessarily about the retaliation that the NPP removed Madame Charlotte Osei in an unjust manner. And so Madame Jane Mensa must also suffer the same fate. I do not subscribe to that, and I do not accept that, because both are women also. You understand? And so I would not say once injustice has been done to one woman, the same injustice should be done to another woman. But what I am saying is that if a woman is placed in a sensitive position and that woman has shown that she is incompetent and she cannot deliver, we cannot overlook her incompetence and say that she should continue to maintain that position just because she is a woman. To the many of us, even it doesn't matter how we feel about this whole situation, it cannot remove an issue. How I feel about Madame Jane Mensa cannot remove Madame Jane Mensa. How Madame Jane Mensa can be removed has been outlined in the Constitution under Article 146. And that is what is to be followed. Now, if somebody comes here this morning and tells us that 146 is not being followed to the latter, that will be a problem for discussion. But as we sit here, 146 says that a petition will be submitted to President. And of course, for once, I will agree with the former president that he was a conveyor belt. The same way the current president is a conveyor belt. What he needs to do is to send this petition to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice will set a committee of 5 people, 3 judges, and 2 independent people who will be selected by the Judicial Council. They will sit and look at the merits of these petitions. As we sit here, I don't believe any of us know the content of these petitions. I am commenting based on my observation and feelings about the work of the EC. But like I'm saying, what I feel and my dislike for her work cannot be the reason for which she's removed. The reason for which she will be removed will come from the petitions that has been submitted. And the committee will do its work. So the law will be followed to the latter. And if the committee put together by the Chief Justice believes that there's no merit to this petition, of course, she'll continue to do her job. If people will be sacked from office because of our thought or our perception of how they do their work and what we think they are not doing right, then a lot of people would not be in office by now. But it is why we put procedures in place, and these procedures are being followed. So I do not see what the actual problem is. If Madame Jane Mensa has done her work, and you see, no matter how good your work is, okay, even Nelson Mandela, there are still people who are opposed to Nelson Mandela and how he did his things. Look at Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He is celebrated across the world. There are still people who believe that he didn't do well for Ghana. No matter how you do your work, that you still have people who do not like the way you do your work. I may be one of those people in the case of Madame Jane Mensa. But my dislike for her work is not sufficient for her removal. No NDC person's dislike for her work will be able to remove her. The only way she'll be removed is if that 5-member committee finds that there are merits to these petitions and they will write to the president, and the president will act accordingly as the Constitution has said. Now, that being said, I'll move to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. This morning, we have talked, I think my brother Najib and some of the commentators have been able to point out what problem we were trying to solve when we established the Office of the Prosecutor.
Even from protocols?
Yes. I mean, what were we trying to solve? We said that we were trying to address inadequacies in the work of the Attorney General, perceived political interference when it comes to the investigation of persons who are politically exposed. We also say that we have, although we have the AG, we have SHH, we have OSP, IOCO, National Investigation Bureaus and everything. So all these people, we have their mandates, we have certain mandates fragmented across these agencies. So then why do we not put together one office? We give this office prosecutorial powers, because although all these agencies existed, most of them, their jurisdictions were overlapping and they did not even have prosecutorial powers, because Article 88 gives prosecutorial powers to the Attorney General. And so let's put an office together, OSP, give OSP prosecutorial powers, that is, sit some parts of the prosecutorial powers of the Attorney General and give it to the OSP. We are giving the OSP investigative powers. We are giving the OSP intelligence gathering authority. We are giving the OSP asset recovery powers and prevention of corruption powers. We have made this, institution so powerful and so independent to operate. Now, even when people talk about the independence of the OSP and that the AG is not independent, AG is because AG is appointed by president. OSP is also appointed by president. Or sure. Yes. So if the argument is that AG cannot be independent because he was appointed by president, then who appoints the OSP? The OSP is not appointed by the president of a different country. OSP does not come from IMF. OSP is appointed by president. I do not see how that argument, holds. But let's all pretend that OSP, because it's been given all these powers, is independent. Now, the argument goes like this. Without being emotional and being very logical, you set up an OSP office to tackle these issues for the past 7 years. OSP has not been able to give us any, proper, results. And my brother Protocol was talking about, we are judging the OSP based on how many people he's able to prosecute and take into jail and all of that. That is not only the case. We are also looking for the OSP to tell us that, what we were expecting, to tell us that there was an allegation that this person did that, but upon investigation, I found exculpatory evidence. And so I have brought some finality to the matter. Now, Ghanaians listening to me, 7 years, only 7 cases has seen an end to it. And all these 7 are plea bargaining. I am not saying that plea bargaining is not good. Okay, plea bargaining is also although it's a new arm of our jurisprudence, it is also important. But with even the seventh case, it is not that the matter has come into like a logical conclusion, but an accused person in that matter came for a plea bargain so that the matter can proceed against the actual accused person who happens to be the former secretary to the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Mr. Charles Bisiu. So when you look at all the budgetary allocations or monies that has gone into the office of the special prosecutor, over 1 billion Ghana cedis since we put it together. Last year alone, 1.46 million. Wow. Over 1 billion. So imagine, as a Ghanaian sitting at home, you set up a company, you put in 1 billion cedis and watch this company run for 7 years. And you've not been able to secure a conviction or even recover a substantive. Now let's compare, even from this plea bargaining, how much we are able to obtain from this plea bargain and compare it to the amount of money that Ghana is putting into the office of the special prosecutor. So do you blame anybody? Do you blame the Speaker of Parliament or majority leader if they believe that these monies we are putting into office of the special prosecutor is not yielding anything? And so we need to look at elsewhere. We have the office of the Attorney General. We can resource them. We have IYOKO. We can resource IYOKO. We have SHՀC. We can empower SHHC to be able to chase the monies and the allegations. And I'm not saying that anybody who has been alleged to have stolen something has indeed stolen anything. Sometimes Ghanaians just want the information. You understand? And instead of the special prosecutor to focus on the work, because you see, some of us are also in office. We do not even get the benefits special prosecutor is getting. You know what digitalization does to countries and the kind of development it propels in certain countries. You have an OSP who is driving armor cars with soldiers and police and living large and getting fat salaries and everything. And we are still not seeing everything that we were promised to come from Office of the Special Prosecutor. So instead of him to focus on the work that he has been given, allowing the former finance minister to run away, and you are chasing people like lawyer Martin Pebu. And I always, say this. Anybody who has been to law school, you cannot be a lawyer in this country, and I'm a lawyer myself, you cannot be a lawyer in this country without reading Martin Pebu cases. When it comes to the legal field, Martin Pebu cases, Martin Pebu is an authority. And I found it so quite ironic that a man who championed the issue of bail, but for Martin Pebu, Section 96 of Act 30, there was a part of it that some offenses could, if you were arrested for certain offenses, you would not be able to obtain bail. Martin Pebu's case was what took out that section, amended that Section 96 to make all offenses bailable. Now today, you arrest Martin Pebu, and Martin Pebu could not even by himself obtain a self-cognizance bail. He had to bring, an indenture, according to him, to secure bail, and even that was very, very difficult. And it goes to another leg of the law. And I know that the OSP himself is a lawyer and teaches law. And anybody who has been to law school will not leave law school without knowing this simple principle of natural justice that has two legs. That is odi atram pattern and nemo judes in causa sua. Odi atram pattern talks about listening to the other side. Nemo judes in causa sua. That you will not be a judge in your own case. So how then do you invite a person who has made an allegation against you to come and give you information so that you will be a judge in that matter? I found that very problematic. I see that to be an abuse of office. And so I believe that the special prosecutor, from where I sit, has not conducted himself very well. We can have the discussion on whether or not that office is even relevant. Then we can look at the monetary aspects, the allocations that has gone there. And then we can even look at whether or not the person in the office right now is even fit or competent to be in that office. In both cases, I believe that the special prosecutor has not given us much value for all the money we've put inside the office. And that does not mean that he's not a good lawyer. He may be a good lawyer, but maybe the job is very challenging for him. And also the office itself has not, given the Ghanaian citizen any value when it comes to combating corruption. And so if the Speaker of Parliament, who is also like a leader of an arm of government, believe, and this arm of government, I believe, we always say they are all equal, but I believe the legislation is the biggest, because that is where the representatives of all Ghanaian citizens are. So if the legislature believes that, the Ghanaian citizen interest is not being served by having the office of the special prosecutor, I believe that it should be scrapped. And also there is the danger of the NPP using this as, a way to score political points. Where I've heard some of these NPP people say that, His Excellency Danado came and set up the office of the prosecutor to combat corruption, and the NDC came and they scrapped it. I know that some NDC members even have this fear. But this is why we must continue to speak about this issue. Fighting corruption, it is not only about building a physical facility and putting somebody in there and paying them huge sums of money. It transcends that. It goes beyond that. And if truly we believe that this is not serving us, we must be brave to scrap it out completely, just for the benefit of Ghanaians, and find other proper ways of putting out and combating corruption from our system.
Okay, I have to get used to calling you lawyer Ajua. Anyway, thank you. One point you made that I agree with completely is that everything that's said around this table will not be adequate enough to remove Jean Mensa or KCA Jabi or anybody. These are just views being expressed. Even if you take these views before the Chief Justice, it will not be adequate enough unless the Chief Justice finds it to be so. Like I just said, there's one hurdle. Prima facie must be established. The Chief Justice can decide that all these petitions do not meet the requirement. They will never set up the committee, or can decide that some of the allegations raised in the petitions meet the standard. So let the committee look at them. So we do not know what is contained in the petition. What we are saying are the things we have in our minds and the things that we've seen publicly. Thank you very much. Well, I just want, let me read a couple of comments. This is Eric Okusefenu Sena. OSP by law is not the problem in carrying out his mandate, but the person who is the occupant of the office, like you said, Jabin, who is politically compromised. The petition to remove Jean Mensa and the 2 deputies is right and long overdue. The electoral fraud, because of the electoral fraud, she superintended. There's also this one from Joshua Pomado from Kwashiman. Says, oh, okay. When the MPP man, he said, when, what do you call it, protocol lied, when you fact-checked him, he was just empty and noisy, he says. Did I hear the MPP man say Baumia will come back in 2028? For what MPP thinks Ghanaians are so myopic about the incompetence, lies, destruction of the very economy he prophesied to be the aspect of. MPP came into office and for 8 years looted and milked the nation and made themselves richer at the expense of poor citizens. Never again for the hypocrites and nation wreckers party like MPP. Engineer Joshua K. Pomado sent that. There's also this one that says, the people of Ghana are still feeling the pain of Nana Addo's bad governance. He who cut off people's heads is afraid of his head being cut. He said the OSP and the Mensa needs to be sacked. We cannot forget the running away of our former finance minister and killing of 7 Ghanaian people during the election by soldiers who went scot-free. Thank you for that comment. Keep them coming. There's enough reasons presented in all the petitions submitted to the president for the OSP to chase Oforiatta and bring him down. You left corruption issues aside and chasing somebody who just challenged your character or your substance in your office to investigate Martin Pebu. I learned the OSP is an intelligent lawyer, but being brilliant or intelligent and not practically showing it is useless. You didn't add your name. Then this was the Senator. Allow OSP to stay. Sack the SP. So the office you don't have a problem with. The man says you should sack the SP. So he has his problem is with the occupants. Then for us to be talking about the relevance of the OSP purely on the basis of what it is able to retrieve in monetary terms will be misleading. The OSP also exists to play a deterrent role that cannot be quantified. As some of us believe, the OSP in its current form does serve the real purpose for our collective resolve to fight against corruption. But its relevance must not be assessed solely on what it has been able to retrieve, but also what it is capable of preventing. That's Dennis SHՀCK. Thank you for your comment. Then this one says the EC and her 2 deputies must go. They have delivered incompetence during the 2020 election. They were incompetent enough because they were politically influenced by the MPP. OSP Ghanaians said he should go after Ken. Why leave him to enjoy luxury in the outside world and rather going for an innocent man, Martin Pebu, seeking for landed property from him? Said he's corrupt and must join his sister and her 2 deputies. Raymond sent that. Raymond, thank you for that comment. Magdo from Alajo says, Senator, good morning. Please, what does protocol take us for? Has he just returned from the moon? We saw how Akufo-Addo capriciously used executive power to punish and maltreat people in this country. And protocol never said anything. Magdo sent that from Alajo. This one says this, okay, says this girl is looking very intelligent. How can a person look intelligent? This is quite interesting. Angel sent that from Boga, says, the woman is making women very great. Continue, my beautiful daughter. Angel, thank you. Just I was surprised that he said she looked beautiful. She looked intelligent. Okay. Then someone is pointing out that The term that protocol use is a colloquial term used in Ghana to refer to, I've never heard that before, that they use it to refer to a Nigerian. No.
When I said nigger,
he meant to say akata, or maybe like, those who dress in those fancy American.
He said, the lady in your studio has spoken my mind. How can you establish a company, continue to finance it when the company has become a liability? Yeah. OSP must go. Thank you very much for the comment. Let me do one more, and then we'll go to Solo to conclude for us. This one says, good morning, my brother. I'm really following you, and to me, if any political party wants to win the election in this country from 2028, then they should support the call for the removal of the ECJ and the deputies, especially the deputies. In fact, we're saved by grace in 2024 election, and the president should not appoint the new ECJ. This should be done by a neutral body. Just send that from Adafi and Indeno. Well, when we get there, perhaps the discussion will come up. But the current constitutional situation is that the president still gets to make that decision. Mr. Owusu.
Yes, so I will start from where the text the message I just read, and then say that, in election 2024, and I was always here discussing the great transformational plan with you. I'll still send you back where we suggested that there has to be a second chamber. We needed to scrap the Council of State and introduce a second chamber where it will be made up of faith-based organizations, their reps, former IGPs, former Chief of Defense Staff, professional bodies, and so on and so forth, so that they, together with the President, will give us constitutional bodies, independent constitutional bodies, their heads, to take away the political colorization of some of these issues. So it is something that we have submitted. We have submitted to the Constitutional Review Committee to take a critical look at it, so that we introduce the setting up of a second chamber. The Council of State, in our view, is not performing to the best of their ability. Sarah, the only person in the New Patriotic Party who can convince me that it is not right to remove either a Chief Justice, either an Electoral Commissioner, or the Special Prosecutor will be Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. These are the two people, because they understand what it takes to remove someone. Any other person apart from them, I dare say we can consider it as one of those issues, because they understood the issues. Let me even draw in Sophia Akufu, because she established the prima facie, you understand, the case of Charlotte Osei. So they understand what it takes. In the case of Charlotte Osei, it was on procurement breaches. So we must get that at the back of our minds. I am also one of those that do not believe that it must be difficult to remove anybody from office. It must be so easy. Sarah, it must be the easiest thing to do. You are incompetent, we must keep you there. You must go with alacrity. Let's break it. Jane Mensa. Do you, in fact, if Jane Mensa was sitting, she would tell you that I will resign. So incompetent, I don't know how she managed to acquire that incompetence. That as a country we sat down for a whole constituency, sir, to be denied the opportunity of exercising their constitutional mandate. I mean, who would accept that? Elsewhere, it would have turned something else. It would have been bloody. But the Ghanaians, we did. So I was expecting her by after the election 2022, I resigned. But resignation, voluntary resignation in this country is not common. Even when it's so clear, people want to stay on. They have to be forced out, and that is what seems to be the case. I am going to petition. I want her to be investigated on fraud matters. Election 2020, yeah? I have called for a commission of inquiry into that election because of some documents that has come to my notice. Is it where she is living? The Laboni or the cantonments? Adjacent property. A property just adjacent to a property that used to be the property of Ghana Tourism Authority. In fact, the current chief of staff has occupied that property before when he was with the Ghana Tourism Authority. June of 2020, that property was transferred to the husband of Jane Mensa. I've done my checks. I'm yet to see how much he paid for it. And Ghana Tourism Authority knows that there was no way without any other inducement that property would have been transferred to the husband of Jane Mensa. The question this morning is, was it given to the husband of Jane Mensa to influence election 2020? The answer is for the ghost. That's why I'm calling for a commission of inquiry. This is a serious matter. See, this country, when issues come, adults that you expect them to speak, they will not speak because they have sold this country. They have shared it among themselves. That day of reckoning is coming. You people do all these things, and then when we grow, you come and tell our kids that our parents were smarter than us. Yeah, Mobra. I've been speaking from Monday to Saturday. Always same. That people are in the offices only using pens to change. Sarah, how many times do you come here and do allergy and allergy? You have been doing allergy and people are in offices using pens to do allergy there. Theirs is better than our allergy and allergy. Election 2020 gave us 4 different results that has been enumerated by panelists here. Who will do that? Election 2024, we were saved by grace. If anybody told you or continues to tell you that the peace that we are enjoying today is as a result of any credible elections that was organized, it's a palpable falsehood. We were saved by grace, simplicity. But now there should be blood flowing. But the levels of defeat was such that there was no need. That's why I get worried and I get surprised, I get shocked, I get flabbergasted. When I hear protocol say that 2029, Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia will win an election, and I ask myself, have they taken note? Have they analyzed what really got the NPP out of office? It's not a child's play. The way and manner they behaved in the last 8 years, I tell you, I'm very surprised we still have a country called Ghana. They came to loot. They looted the state beyond comprehension. And so Jane Mensa, beyond that election 2024, as we speak, you know there's supposed to be a rerun in Pandai. What necessitated that? Jane Mensa recruited returning officers who were so recalcitrant. They don't respect any laws of the electoral laws. So they decided to do whatever pleased them. For which reason there is a rerun. Remember Ablekumanov? There had to be a rerun. What happened in Obuasi East? What did we not see in Sawama? What happened in Dome? What about Damongo? Okaikwe Central? And several places. Look, before the elections, you remember Pusiga. We discussed the matters here. 138 names were transferred from Tamale Central and Salarigu to Pusiga. When we asked the Electoral Commissioner, some few months to the elections, every release from them, they stated, our system is robust. In the midst of the robustness, 38 names were illegally transferred. When we asked, there was a software called liveliness that was not present. That necessitated that. What about the BVD machines that got missing, that they lied? That we found in his home. We are going to do a comprehensive expose on the matter. Areas that Alan Tremartin was voted for, he has 0. Protocol is people. And you are still supporting Mahmoud Bawumia. What is wrong, protocol?
What is wrong with you?
Has somebody to do you? It's serious matter. So, Jane Mensa, what will she be waiting in that office for? But like you said, it's a constitutional provision. Someone has petitioned, the president has forwarded it to the chief justice. The chief justice is supposed to go through it. And I agree once again with that. If there is nothing in there, you don't have to force it. But if there is every reason to establish that problem first against and get the committee to boot her out, nothing stops you. Like it was done to Tokoro, which I supported 100%. I will support it today and tomorrow. We must not be afraid to fire, hire and fire. Manchester United, this is about their 8th coach or 9th coach. You hire, the person is not performing, you fire. They are not here for jokes. So Jane Adokwe Mensa, having given us all the beautiful letters when she was with the IEA and being given the opportunity to serve and giving us this. What else? But you await the outcome. We are wanted to be investigated on this land matter because the state needs lands to embark on development agenda. And the Ghana Tourism Authority must also not sit down. How you allow this thing to happen? Our state institutions are failing. This morning I've already exposed you what the national security people have done with the SHÂCK belonging to Cocoa Board, which I'm going to follow. I think they are the enemies of the state. The state institutions are the enemies of the state. I will flash all of them out. Now you come back to Kisi Ajabe. The very day he organized that press conference and said, I'm Kwanoma, but they make cry about for the that day he should have tendered his resignation. Because what he sought to do was to give up. Because that day he accused the judiciary of not helping him to succeed in some of the cases. So what else was he doing in the office? He should have left. Nobody is asking you to sacrifice yourself for anything. We are giving you a job and you are being paid. If you cannot do which you told us through that press conference, you leave the scene. There are many people who want to work. What pains me is that in the midst of all this, the person that is laughing, who is happy, is Kenoforiata and all the criminals under the household administration who are supposed to be prosecuted. They are laughing. They are happy because in their mind we are going to over-concentrate on this back and forth. No, this matter will be just put under the banner and then concentrate. We are so focused that Kenoforiata, having led this country to borrow $13.5 billion, using power to go and dig a hole, bringing in SML, and all the communities will not get away with this crime. Does it not surprise you? The person has even run away from his own motherland. He has run away. He has run away. So what evidence? Someone sang the song, I need no other argument. I need no. What argument do you need against protocol? That the people came to steal. The finance minister that led us in these investments has run away. What else? What else, Senna? The last time I petitioned this OSP, you remember? Me, with my meager income, LBB collapsed my business. Me, I used my money to support the party. They came, they collapsed it. The small that was left, or that is left, to be given to my children, I decided to take part, to go and do investigation. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia willingly went to Ashanti region and said that he donated more than 300 brand new pickups to the NPP. So now you and I know the salary of a vice president. Is that not the case? So quickly, fortunately I did mathematics, elective maths. My last paper was on the 8th of December. I remember that day very well. It was raining and I had A in elective mathematics. So I put pen to paper.
What about commerce?
Commerce obviously to be A. Understand? So the thing is that when I did the mathematics, even if Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia decided not to touch a cent of the salary, he couldn't buy 10 of the pickups. So where did he get the money to buy the more than 300? Now I heard a lot of arguments. Don't say that. The Political Parties Act is so clear that you cannot have foreigners contributing to our political discourse. Even the local donors, we are supposed to know. I did all these things together with the Bo Bachman and lawyer Pierre Dankwa. We submitted this petition to you. The courtesy, the common courtesy to even engage us. This OSP has decided to go mute. That is why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is campaigning. That's why he's campaigning. And that's why I asked, has protocol been jujud? It doesn't look good. Now Pebble raises a critical issue. He says, you can say that you are corrupt, direct. You want to investigate yourself. When you invited Pebble, you said he should come and assist you. He is supposed to come and assist you. If I'm to assist you, I can decide not to even assist you. I had the courtesy to come to assist you, then go and bring junior ranks to come and do your bidding. You want to flex muscles, you want to show power. What power? Do you have power? The office you went didn't DC matter. Have me this picture. Any office that you go to and you see pictures of the previous heads must ring something in your head that today you are here, tomorrow you are not there. So you don't have that power. That you want to turn the whole heat on Martin. Are you investigating matter on corruption or corruption-related offenses? The answer is an emphatic no. The only arrest we expect SHqəd to do is to go after Ken Oforiatta and all those that stole our money. I'm not doing that. I want to say SHqəd. The money is with them. What pains me is that another Easter is going to come. They will sell some to quote. You are chilling with the girls everywhere. Is that not the case, Senna?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, protocol. He has been chilling. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been giving him money. He has been chilling. That are the way some people are suffering in opposition that you have the vim to defend Bawumia. And you know when he say, I'm telling you, it's very difficult. But we will not allow anybody to take the people of this country for a ride. The office itself. Once again, we have provided something to the constitutional review. We believe that we seem to have a lot of institutions that seem to be fighting corruption. If the office is going to be there, we want them to align all the other institutions, IOCO, SHqəd, and make it one and have one legislation. So that if we are going to appoint one anti-corruption czar, who will be independent of the Attorney General. That is our position. But under the current mix, if you say you are going to leave it there, you must scrap it. Because this office that we have expended close to $1 billion is even more than $1 billion. I heard that this Yakwe to say that, oh, as for the office has to be there, his presence can even deter. What has this attorney OSP deterred? He is supposed to put in place policies to deter. Can he show me one policy that he has put in place that deters anyone from engaging in corruption? The answer is an emphatic no. So what is he doing there? Now to add insult to injury, he has another backing vocalist called SHqəd. He is in charge of strategic research communication. Nothing he does is strategic. Nothing is that he does is informed by research, and the communication is even worse off. Peddling lies. He's being paid by my tax. I don't need that office. I don't hate Kisia Yaben. But if it must be done, it must be done well. What benefit are we getting from that office? The last time he was asked to investigate Cecilia Dapa, more than 200 Ghanaians petition. What did he do with that? He destroyed the case. At the point he told us that, oh, it had to do with money laundering, and money laundering fell outside his realm, so he was giving the matter to what? Iyoko. Have you heard anything again? Now you have people even telling us, preaching to us, that Cecilia Dapa never did anything wrong, and that she was well to do. She organized the funeral. The funeral was that big than a 2 for Boku Alda. She had more money, millions of dollars. When he had been given the opportunity to drain the Odona, I told you Odona, he had made wild and given 2 million cedis to my boys in Alajo, and given them so bad that they would have cleared it. It would have been so. $48 million we invested, said Odona is not cleared. Why do we do this thing to ourselves? Don't we love this country? Or want to sell the country? If they want to sell, they should tell us. But the way among people that are put in charge of the state decides to shorten all of us, it's amazing. At least you will chop small from your website, but you don't have to eat within. You don't have to use left, right. That is what has happened. I'm very grateful to those that have petitioned. I will encourage more people. If anybody, you know anybody in any institution, maybe petition. Let's clear all the bad ones out. Don't go and petition to remove Ajo anyway.
I haven't done anything in part.
So that we will have serious minds, patriotic citizens manning our various institutions. Not that we lack them, we have them. We have them. We have people who really want to work for this country to develop it. Because we travel around. Sometimes when you go somewhere and then they call you a Ghanaian, you don't know whether to be proud or not to be proud. Because if you look at the resources that you have back home and what they have, and they are called developed country and you are called a developing country, it beats your imagination. The only difference between we as Ghanaians that are described as developing and they that are described as developed is that they are honest, we are not honest. We are not honest. We are not honest. So we give monies to people and they shortchange all of us. We put people in various institutions, they don't work, they create the impression that they are working. But I want to assure Kisia Yaben that the fight is on. We will deal with the matters. And Martin is also a lawyer, and I'm happy I heard him say that he would sue them for malicious prosecution. I agree. He has to. He has to. And to the military officer, people who are giving military attire and you think that you are baggers. The mere fact that you are wearing a military attire does not make you above the law. You went and said stupid to Pebu. You wanted Pebu to carry this words into his hands and go home and go and tell the wife and children. He also tell her and said, you are also stupid. They don't like being called stupid. But he wanted Pebu to go to the house and cry over being stupid. No, it doesn't work like that. It's fast. I don't believe in that principle that said, if you slap this left cheek, turn the right. Are you mumu? If you turn the right and slap and then you become a dumb person, who caused it? You slap left, give it to the left, the same left, right. There will be peace. So, Sarah, on that note, we await the Chief Justice. We will be in this country to follow this discourse. I'll end it here.
Thank you. Of course, we'll be following the trajectory of things. Like I said, there are different hurdles. He now has to make a determination of a prima facie matter, then form a petition, form a committee, among others. You have to scale the first hurdle before you move to the next one with your petition. Just a few comments, then I'll take very brief comments on the WASI matter to conclude today's show. This one says, yesterday was for the first Farmers' Day. It must be turning point relative to farming. Ghana should be able to have an all-round season for every stuff like plantain, yam, etc. The seasonal farming must be a thing of the past because it escalates food prices at the markets. Market queens are problems relative to escalation of food prices. Hence, the Agric Minister must set up parallel structures, that's Food Distribution Corporation of old, and therefore have direct contact with some farmers for continuous supply of foodstuffs for will-be buyers with Ghana cash. That will force prices down at main markets. If not, the Agric Minister can be doing all the good work, but to be like pouring water into a basket. That's Papa BCU Spinters, who also says petition to remove EC chair and 2 deputies is in order because it was wrong to deny SHº representation in Parliament of all solid years, not proper to force people out of their enclave to register at the EC offices during COVID time by transporting themselves in a very harsh economic condition. And worst of all, some were allegedly heard promising their families that so long as they are heading the EC, ADC would never win any election, etc. Such a behavior can be tolerated in a democratic era. Papa BCU, thank you very much for that comment. Tafai Namra here says, good morning. So now, to be honest with you, the OSP is as useless as a spy sobolo. Therefore, must be scrapped. That I don't know, I've never tasted a spice obolo. A spice obolo. Then there's Masala Pabli, African University of Communications and Business Stain Organizer, says on that issue of the petition I filed against the EC boss, Mensa and deputies, I support it fully. She has shown gross incompetence and insensitivity in all her dealings as the chair of the commission. So it will be for her own good to learn from the case of the former CJ and resign from her position honorably so she can enjoy her benefits. After her resignation, she should avail herself for investigation and subsequently prosecuted and jailed. That's Maxwell. Thank you for that. Musa Batwa and Asawase says the petitioners who have called for the president to remove the EC chair, the 2 deputies and the OSP have done very well. Their actions are justified because the conduct and unprofessional behavior exhibited by these officials do not merit their continued leadership as such sensitive national institutions. These officers must be reset and reformed to restore public confidence, uphold integrity, and ensure that our democracy is not.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.